Fresh off an exciting day of soccer, 2 games going into penalties. We were robbed of Argentina versus Brazil, but at least we have the Lionel Messi storyline go through. I'm here with the salty Jovanni Vidal. Salty because Brazil, for some reason, decided to pull Rafinha and Vinicius Jr. at like the 42-minute mark, which is not the greatest day for us, but we get another day. And tomorrow we got 2 games left in the quarters. We've got Portugal versus Morocco, and we've got England versus France. Giovanni, what's going on?
Not much, just still salty. As soon as they pulled him, I knew I was dead. Like not a single lineup was gonna cash for me. So
there's just nothing you can do about it, right?
Yeah, nothing. Well, I did take Croatia once I went to penalties. Even money, I took Croatia,
nice.
Mainly because Rafinha was out, and that's one of their best penalty shooters. But I just bet everything I was going to lose in DFS just on Croatia to advance on the penalties.
Nice. Awesome. Well, before we get into it, let's shout out our presenting sponsor, No House Advantage. If you haven't been over there yet, please do go check them out. Link in the description gives you $50 deposit bonus match up to. So if you put in 50, you get an extra $50. Really fun site over there. They've got GPP style contests for over-under selections that overlay all the time. So you really want to make sure you're taking advantage of that overlay. I'm sure you've heard me talk about that before if you've watched this show. And they also have pick'em contests as well. If you're in a betting non-legal state versus the house, you can get up to 21 times your money if you pick. I think it's 6. So make sure to go check it out. We also have free projections on the site too, so it makes it really easy to upload those and then take advantage of the overlay while you're there. All right, let's get into it. Just give me while I pull up your projections here. Give me your thoughts on the slate tomorrow. What are your first?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be pretty tough. I don't have the odds in front of me right now, but the obviously there's going to be a mixed reaction to people on the France side or the England side. I think the majority will just split the heavy usage guys like Phil Foden, Mbappe, and whatnot, and then mix in some goal hunting options. Then I don't know. I think you might see some people hoping that Morocco continues to run. Yeah, that was a good story, but I don't think that's the case. I think their run's going to end tomorrow.
I was actually surprised that more people weren't on Portugal at the start of this tournament. Like they weren't really like a popular second-tier pick, but they've got a lot of talent on this team. But let's get into Morocco versus Portugal first. Morocco, the odds are plus 255, Portugal minus 320. Portugal absolutely dominant in their last win. So Morocco is probably going to have to hang on and play pretty much the way they've been playing to have a chance in this one. Our projections, of course, your projections, I should say, love Achraf Hakimi, who has been featured heavily. We get a price discount on him given the competition. Yeah, I guess I'll just throw it to you. It's kind of the usual suspects for Morocco here. What are you doing with these reduced prices? The value just doesn't seem to be there the way it has, other than Hakimi on the Morocco side. Hey.
Yeah, because the possession, it's really hard for their forwards, and their midfielders are predominantly defensive midfielders, so they're probably going to be drawing a lot of fouls. They have a high rate of committed fouls when they don't have possession. So, and then the forwards, I don't know how much actual opportunities they will get. I will say that Ziyech, he was completely let down the last game. He didn't have as many chances. And the fact that he has Hakimi standing with him on set pieces, it makes it tough. But he's cheap enough where he does take some sets. I mean, he does take the penalties also. So there is a path where, and I don't think he's going to come out of the game. If their strategy is to go to PK, you at least have enough chances to build a solid floor. And then he does have a really good on-target free kick rate. So you do have that upside if you're chasing it. He is discounted from what you were getting him at like 8K plus before. And then Hakimi is the only one I really do like from Morocco. You don't need the clean sheet. His defense, his offense, it's enough to keep chipping away at the points. I don't see him coming out of the game barring an injury. So the longer the game goes, it's just he really has like a high ceiling without any scoring upside, just because he's so involved defensively and offensively. Possession doesn't affect him. He can score either way.
Yep. I think that's sounds about right there. And like, there's just going to be, I think the one thing you might want to think about with Morocco is like a contrarian lineup where maybe they do beat, they do beat Portugal, and you're sort of, you've got the goalie, or at least you're stacking that goalie with some Portuguese players. I don't know. Just trying to think about some way of the contrarian, but I feel like the
Yeah, it could be like what you saw today with
Croatian keeper. Some names.
right. Bono's is gonna have shots fired at him, and he is a good keeper. I think he's one of the top keepers in La Liga. It's just Sevilla sucks, so that's why this year, at least, that's why he's getting shelled. But he's very capable of putting up like 6-7 saves. So even if he gave up 2-3 goals, which Morocco hasn't been doing, that still has upside, especially compared to his lower asking price. And then I guess in GPP, if you want to take a long shot, Buffal did really nice and was used as the only real like counterpunch when they were trying to make in their previous game. So if that's the case, that they were going to lose possession and then try with the counterpunches, he can at least draw fouls, and he does have enough speed to get on the to get some shots off. I don't think he has a high upside, but as a one-off piece who can draw fouls and probably get you into at least 1x his price tag, and he'll be low owned.
Yeah, cool. Let's move it on to Portugal. So we got some really good values here. Rafael Guerreiro, who scored last game, was dominant. He would have paid off his price before he'd scored. He was looking great. Bruno Fernandes, 18 points, really good value as well. Seems to be getting into a lot of my lineups. João Felix was pulled at 5-1 for Ronaldo, but I don't know. I guess that's really just a game script thing. Anybody else here? I guess we should probably talk about Gonzalo Ramos, who scored the hat trick and will probably be back in there. Massive price boost for him, but biggest favorite on the slate, going up against a tough defense. A lot of talent here. What are you doing with the Portuguese side?
Yeah, I mean, just because going back to the time of possession thing, Bruno Fernandes is to me impossible to fade. Because his indirect sets, his drawing foul rate, his created chances. So without him scoring or getting an assist, I still think he has a floor north of like 13.5 to 14 points, which many people will not have it, just because if Morocco sit back, he's going to be able to deliver, and then the indirect sets he has. Felix, I think, is fine for GPP because he is a scoring option. He's been involved, and his price tag is slightly discounted from Ramos. I don't know what to do with Ramos.
Tough one, right? I think the price tag is so high, but
right. So he's like what Richarlison was today. He can get a brace because we just saw him get a brace, but that was also the first time he scored for his country ever, even though it was a small sample size. It was only like 4 games before that, but he's also not typically the high shot volume guy. And if this game is not blowing out of the water early like the previous game did, how long do you think until Ronaldo comes off the bench? So when he was 6K less, you can absolutely fire away at it. Had you known ahead of time that he was going to come in or be there instead of Ronaldo, but now that he's priced to where a goal is not enough, it still is 2 goals that he needs. So
it's a tough one. Not a great value as well. And then like if we are in a locked game where it is tight and Morocco's able to hold them off for the first 45, 60, you gotta think Ronaldo's coming in at that point, right? So
Yeah, that's why I'm I, his performance last game spoke for itself, so I couldn't talk anybody off of him, but I'm not gonna get to him because I do like a lot of like other positions. So, and I like a lot of goal hunters from the next game. So,
well, that's going to bring us over to the next game, biggest game of the day, I think, maybe of the tournament so far. England versus France. Probably the winner of this will be favored. I'm guess. Well, actually, I guess not because Argentina's got a pretty nice matchup against Croatia there. But the best. I think if I were to put my money on whoever gets through this, I'm putting my money on taking down the tournament, I guess. England plus 105, France minus 130. There's some discounted prices here, I think, maybe a little bit on both sides just because of the tougher matchups. Looks like we have Theo Hernandez 5,400 priced really well. Dembele 6,600 hasn't really done much, been kind of invisible if you watch these French games. I think maybe he scored in the first one. I can't remember, but not great. Griezmann gets like a $1,300 price discount. Giroud as well is lower. Mbappe is about 1,200 less. So really, values are all around for the French side. I'm surprised to see Dembele's price so high. And one thing I also wanted to ask as well. I think Theo Hernandez got a lot of ownership last game, probably not as much this time. But I noticed he's really passing off a lot of those cross opportunities to Mbappe when they're running down the left side there. And I think he kind of like seeps into his upside in some ways just because he tends to like defer to him. But that's some more anecdotal evidence. I will stop talking now. What do you think of this French side?
yeah, I think it was. I do agree with you. At least in his like last meeting, he was passing it up to Mbappe, and Mbappe is obviously like a cheat code, and it's hard to keep up with him. So you want to get him on the run and just let him outrun people. Now, I don't know how many times he can outrun Kyle Walker, because Kyle Walker, if there's one thing that, and I do knock on him for no reason, I know, but if there's one thing that I can knock on him for is he has some elite speed in the defensive spot. You could say the same about Luke Shaw on the other side, but where Walker's only job really in this matchup is do not let Mbappe get behind you. So I think that Mbappe obviously will get the ball, but I wonder if he can, and this wouldn't factor obviously into any projections, but if he can pass it back and for Theo to get some crosses in, because if the attention's on Mbappe, then Theo coming up the wing behind him has to have like less people focus on him, maybe some open play. So I think that would give him an upside, regardless to whether he gets an assist. So I'm completely fine with Theo Hernandez. I don't think there's that many expensive defenders. We'll get to the other side also, but Luke Shaw, I don't have as much interest in, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But I'm fine with Theo Hernandez and Akram Hakimi as the two defenders. I think they have a great floor, and even if they're not going to hit any goal contributions, in the worst case, they're from like a medium perspective projections, they could still 1.25x their price tags. Mm-hmm. But mainly offensively from France, I do like Dembele. He hasn't scored in the tournament yet, but he's at least getting the shot volume off. He's averaging like about 2 shots per match, and he has the created chances rates and the open play crossing volume. And I think when you put more attention on Mbappe, Griezmann, even closing in the center of the back line for England to prevent Olivier Giroud from getting at the end of any cross up the middle, I think you have to leave someone open. So that's where Dembele would come in for me. And
also, like, I'm guessing the ownership between like Giroud and Dembele will be pretty drastic, given how Giroud's performed, a little bit more name recognition, and like Dembele, not that much cheaper. So you're probably getting he's probably going to be like sub 10% owned maybe.
Yeah, because his price tag, and you have to fit in England pieces, you have to fit in Portugal pieces. So that's why I like Dembele for GPPs, and I wouldn't be concerned about him getting pulled, as I said that yesterday about Rafinha, and he got pulled. But I wouldn't be concerned about Dembele getting pulled more so than Olivier Giroud. If the game starts going, like if it's tie game and it starts going into 80 minutes, 90 minutes, and it's a very real possibility that between these two teams that are so evenly matched that it can go into extra time.
Right.
So
what are you doing with Mbappe?
I love Mbappe. It's to me he is the reason I wouldn't be getting to the price tags of like Goncalo Ramos or even some pieces like Harry Kane from the next match. And so Griezmann and Mbappe are my main focus. I would try to get as much as possible. Giroud I'm not as high on, but Dembele and Theo would be the other pieces around that I would try to fit as much as I'm bigger on France than what the money lines are right now.
Awesome. I would also say if you're looking for a cheap flyer, Adrien Rabiot has been moving up a lot into the box. Like he scored in one game. I think he scored in their first game, but people aren't going to roster him. He's pretty cheap. He's probably not going to do much, but he'd probably need to score to pay off, I'm guessing. But he has a little bit of like a small chance of popping one in the way they're using him. So Phil Foden, English side, Phil Foden 72, Harry Kane still pretty cheap, 7,500. Kyle Saka 6,700, Jude Bellingham 5,900. New Liverpool signee Jude Bellingham maybe. Luke Shaw really low price here, 4,900. Harry Maguire, my pick to score a goal one of these games is going to happen, and I'm going to win all the money in Showdown. And then we get some kind of also rans defensive midfielders and defenders down low. So you're higher on France than England. What's your England strategy here?
My favorite play from England is Jude Bellingham. Because so if you, and this is assuming they ran the same lineup as their previous match with Jordan Henderson in the midfield. So if Jordan Henderson and Declan Rice are staying back, then Jude Bellingham has the license to go forward and help out on the offensive end. And he's not shy to shoot. So there is some goal upside. He is a very accurate shooter, and he's getting involved offensively. He's more expensive, but the only play that I would try to come in over the field on from England is Phil Foden, just because he's taking the indirect sets. Unless you see Kieran Trippier return to the lineup. So he's been dealing, I think, with injuries. But if they ran multiple defenders, which I saw like some projected lineups that had that possibility, mainly to slow down the Mbappe, then you could see like Kyle Walker, Trippier, John Stones, Harry Maguire, and Luke Shaw, whereas Shaw and Trippier would run on the wings, similar to what Argentina did today with like five backs. So in that case, Trippier would resume his indirect sets. So I would have him in there.
What about any chance Raheem Sterling plays?
For who?
Any chance Raheem Sterling plays?
I would think that Sterling comes in off the bench, and my only reasoning for that is because if this game goes into extra time and possibly penalties, which I assume both coaches are thinking that is a possibility. If they're evenly matched teams, they can both score. They're both well above average defensively. So Raheem Sterling would be one of the guys I personally would want from the England side to take penalties. He's very accurate penalty kicker. He's taken it on big teams in the EPL, and Foden doesn't really take him. And Bukayo Saka has those roles from the Europa League, right, where he missed it and they got eliminated. Well, him and Rashford missed it and they got eliminated. So you don't want to put that kind of pressure on a younger.
Well, Gareth Southgate might disagree with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe he's just gonna run the penalty kick unit as a.
He'll just sub in a bunch of 17-year-olds. 10 minutes left to take all their kicks. That's what.
Yep, Rashford, Bellingham, Saka. Yep. They're just gonna start. They're gonna let Harry Maguire take it. Jordan Pickford.
That's right. Cool. Let's talk a little showdown here. And how are you attacking this side? Give me your favorite captain spots and some roster construction thoughts as well.
I think you're fine with the 3-3. I personally like the 4-2 from France because I think they're going to win. And the 4-2, you could still fit in either from the England side as your 2-man. You could go with like for a floor like a Luke Shaw and a Phil Foden, or if Trippier is in, you can go with like Trippier and Bellingham, and you still will be left with enough money to fit in Mbappe, Griezmann, Theo Hernandez, and then one of Giroud or Dembele. I don't particularly like the keepers for Showdown from either side here. I don't like the keepers, period, from this game. But
Pickford 10 save performance incoming.
Yeah, I mean if England win, it's because Pickford has to put up some massive saves.
Yeah.
But now in Showdown, you can take as Pickford and Foden, assuming Trippier is not in. Pickford and Foden, you'll have a great floor with Foden. You'll have your 10 saves with Pickford, and the game will end 0-0 going to penalties. And you also fit in Mbappe and Griezmann and Dembele, and they all got three shots on goals. So you perfectly correlated that Pickford play.
Yeah, exactly. All right. That's going to do it for us. But before we get out of here, give me your favorite, your 3 top owned players tomorrow.
Right before that, I didn't touch on Harry Kane.
Oh yeah,
Harry Kane will be massively owned. His price tag is under 8K, correct?
Yeah.
So
75 or 77, I think.
Right. So I will say, if you're not going to play Harry Kane, maybe Goncalo Ramos, who's just because Kane being on there, I think he's going to get significantly more ownership than Ramos. So Ramos, if you're like completely getting away from Kane, take those Kane shares and bump them up to Ramos with a punt elsewhere, and you have massive leverage should he repeat. But my most exposed or highest owned players are going to be the usual. It's Mbappe, Bruno Fernandes, and might be a 3-man defense of Hakimi, Goriel, and Hernandez. All three I like, and
by the way, I like that idea of the 3-man D and flex, especially if these games go to overtime, because you're less likely to see D get subbed off from most teams. So I like that fair amount. Don't forget to sign up for our projections as well. Jovanni's projections, $8.95 per week. You get them 3 days free right now as well. If you're interested, we have the sign up link in the description, as well as the NHA, $50 for free if you sign up and drop $50 in there. What are you waiting for? Just take that free $50. We will be back in 2 days for the semifinals and then the World Cup final, and then we are out of here for the World Cup. That'll do it. So thanks everyone for watching. Giovanni, any final thoughts?
Yeah, if you sign up for an NHA, the Mbappe total I can assume is going to be around 2.5 shots only because of the matchup. I would take the over.
Take the over. I like it. Shots or shots on goal? Shots.
No, just shots. His shots on goal, I'm sure, is only 1.5 just because of the matchup. It normally would be 2.5. I do like the shots on target, but the shots itself, because he's just going to fire away regardless of whether it's defended or blocked or not.
There you go. A little free NHA play for you. That'll do it. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.